The winner of this year's CPAC straw poll is now, the winner of this year's CPAC straw poll is Texas Congressman Ron Paul.
Back now with Town Square. That was the reaction at this year's CPAC gathering to the news that, yes, Ron Paul was the surprise winner of their presidential straw poll. Paul's independent libertarian streak has made him a thorn in the side of some in the GOP establishment, as Mr. Paul doesn't tend towards talking points, but towards, again, a fairly libertarian and philosophical point of view. He'll debate the issues with you. He won't give you talking points. So what is next for the man? Will he run for president in 2012? And joining us now is Congressman Ron Paul. Congressman, welcome back. Are you going to run?
Oh, I don't think so. I have no plans to do it. It's way too early.
Were you surprised to see yourself at the top of that poll?
Pleasantly so, yes. A surprise. I knew we had a lot of supporters. I was talking to the future of the Republican Party, but I didn't know how much emphasis we'd have there, how many people we'd have there, and evidently a fair number showed up. So I think that's very good.
How do you reconcile some of your libertarian ideas that are in conflict with some of the more mainstream Republican talking points, particularly when it comes to things like the war and security?
Well, I would suggest that if they want to be a major party and be responsible for the government, they ought to look at these views, because sometimes the word libertarian scares people off. They don't know what that means. So if you call oneself a constitutional conservative, I follow the Constitution. That's my first obligation. And the founders were libertarians, and I don't know why that should turn the leadership of the Republican Party off. And they ought to pay attention to what the future is looking for. The young people are looking for a little different type of politics. They want balanced budgets, and they want to not fight all these wars. They want civil liberties. They want sound money. They want us to look into the Fed. All these things are very, very popular, and I think that's what this vote is telling us, and hopefully I can nudge them in that direction. And there shouldn't be any reason that we should turn away from the Constitution.
One other group, I don't know if you, I guess it's a group that shares a lot of the values that you just articulated, are a lot of the progressives. You see a lot of progressive values that reflect a very similar ideas to some of the libertarian ideas that you just expressed. Does that surprise you?
Not a whole lot, but I was pleased, and I think that's why labels are rather dangerous.
Yeah.
In my talk before CPAC, I explained where Republicans used to support these views, and they used to be against the war and for civil liberties, and they were opposed to, say, the Wilsonian program. But the progressives today, who argue for civil liberties and less warmongering, they don't have any place to go. So they are looking at these views, but they disagree with me on the economic policies. But I think we certainly can bring people together. The Constitution actually brings people together, and freedom of choice brings people together when you don't have to try to decide what people should do with their lives and what they believe in and how they should spend the money. So I'm very optimistic about bringing people together, both from the progressive side as well as the constitutional side.
And what is your, play political analyst for me for a second, what is your sense of the body politic and its ability to adapt to the changing demands?
Well, I don't think they have any choice. That's why the frustration is existing, because the status quo is ending. We no longer can perform. We no longer can fight over the spoils because the government is broke, and that's why we're having so much trouble in Washington. The Republicans and the Democrats won't admit we're broke, and they have to cut. They have to cut some of this militarism, and they have to cut some of this welfareism, because this can't continue, because it's going to lead to a dollar crisis. It led to the financial crisis. We're still in the middle of it, but we're going to have a dollar crisis. You can't have $2 trillion deficits a year and think you can monetize this and get away with it. We're still facing serious trouble.
How do you see, or how do you prioritize our country's problems today?
Well, the biggest problem we have is that liberty is not defended and government is too big. The bigger the government is, the more liberty you lose. I quote Randolph Bourne, who said, war is the health of the state. And I think that is one of the reasons the government grows, is because we have an empire to defend, and that ruins your budget, as well as it undermines civil liberties. People are too anxious to give up their liberties when they're at war, and we're told we're at war. And my position is that you don't go to war unless you declare it. So my priorities is follow the Constitution, end the empire, end the welfare state, have sound money. But most of all, we have to get our budget in order. Whether you pay for spending through a tax or not, all spending is a tax on the people, and the government spends way too much.
Yeah, Congressman, I don't think anybody watching this show particularly would disagree with the darn word you just said, sir. Thank you so much for the conversation. I appreciate it. Congressman Ron Paul, thank you.